All right. Hopefully you guys are excited for the top 8. We're about to get that kicked off. We've got Will Krueger here for the rest of the day, and we've got a bracket, so go ahead and bring that up. So we have our number 1 seed, Dominic, playing Blue-Red Kiki-Jiki Control that we've seen against Topher Stitson playing Death and Taxes. We have Chase Pumford playing Green-White Heliod against Ricardo Sánchez playing 4-color Omnath, and we did not see the Green-White Heliod deck all day, so that is what we're going to start with for our quarterfinal match. The other side of the bracket, we have Anderson Leclerc against Gabriel Nicholas in a 4-color mirror. One Planeswalkers, one Omnath, but they both have Omnath and they both have Planeswalkers. And then we have Thomas Laras against Gal Schlesinger, Eldrazi Tron versus Mono Red Prowess. So, Will, if you had to pick one of these matches where you feel most confident you can guess the outcome, which one would it be?
I would guess that Thomas Laras would defeat Gal Schlesinger.
That was what I would have picked also. So why do you think
that? So Eldrazi Tron has 4 copies of Chalice of the Void, and I haven't looked at Yama Killer's exact Mono Red Prowess list, but I would guess that there's 20-something 1-mana spells, maybe even more. And Thomas knows that. And he knows that he is playing against Mono Red Prowess. So he knows that he can mulligan to a hand that's just like to 4 cards, 3 lands, and a Chalice of the Void. I don't know if he's a higher seed. I don't know if this bracket is updated for that. But if he is, turn 2, like land Chalice is kind of just game over. So he doesn't need to keep like the hands that are like kind of marginal, like play a Thought-Knot Seer on turn 3 or whatever. He can just look for Chalice of the Void. He's very likely to find it, play it, and it's just going to be lights out most of the time.
Mm-hmm. All right, we have the Omnath semi-mirror, so we'll call that a wash. I'm not going to guess on that. We have Blue-Red Kiki-Jiki versus Death and Taxes. I believe that was the match that we actually caught the very end of in round 5. With the Blue-Red Kiki-Jiki winning, but certainly Death and Taxes has some removal and some ability to grind a longer game with Stoneforge Mystic. That feels like maybe it could go either way. I wouldn't want to have to bet anything on either side of that one.
Yeah, I think I would probably take Dominic's side of things with the Kiki-Jiki deck. I think Death and Taxes definitely falls into the sort of a sum of the parts kind of deck that we were just talking, that we just sort of watched Dominic sort of dismantle a Spirit's opponent in the last round of Swiss, which is another, all of my creatures are good together kind of thing. But with Snapcaster Lightning Bolt, and he's got some number of Abrades to actually effectively deal with Batterskull, it's not unwinnable for Topher by any means. I wouldn't think. I'd imagine that, a Stoneforge Mystic that goes unanswered, or maybe Thalia against a Landlight hand can do a lot of work.
Archmage's Charm stealing Giver of Runes also seems like it should be fairly annoying to deal with.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we have the match that we're going to watch, Chase Pumford versus Ricardo Sánchez, Green-White Heliod versus 4-color Omnath. Both of these decks kind of have the capability to run away with the game, although the Heliod deck can do it all at once. We have the deck lists up. Let's go ahead and take a look. Chase Pumford's Green-White Heliod deck, and we see here we have 2 copies of Walking Ballista to go alongside the 4 copies of Heliod Suncrowned, which has the capability of just ending the game on the spot. Yep. In addition to some ramping, a lot of cards that just do lots of different things. There's also another combo that doesn't win the game but does generate all the life you want. It's Heliod plus Spike Feeder. Yeah. So there's a couple routes to infinity here, alongside just overall having solid creatures that have. There's just a lot going on in this deck.
Yeah, you can play like a nice mid-range game with Conclave Mentor is pretty good with Heliod too, because you have a lot of ways to randomly gain life with like an Auriok Champion trigger or a Scavenging Ooze activation, or you just give your guy lifelink with Heliod or whatever. And that's 2 counters, and so you kind of win fair games like that. Like you said, you can sort of backdoor into infinite life or damage with Spike Feeder or Ballista or Ranger Captain of Eos to get Ballista.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we do. This deck is somewhat tutorable, as usually Ranger Captain, like you said, and Eldarmy's Call. We have Collected Company to assemble multiple creatures at once. So there's a lot going on here. It looks fairly solid. Now let's go ahead and look at the opposing deck. Ricardo Sánchez, 4-color Planeswalkers. This is the Time Warp version of the deck.
Yeah, this deck is awesome. I'm a huge fan of this. I guess the idea is sort of just stick a permanent that generates a bunch of advantage every turn that's in play, like Chase the Mind Scroll, like any of the Planeswalkers, obviously, or Omnath or Uro, and then Time Warp in combination with Mystic Sanctuary allows you to take 3, 4, 5 turns in a row. And then you just generate an overwhelming advantage by just triggering your Uro 3 times or activating your Jace 3 times, or whatever.
Yeah, and we saw today, this deck looked very impressive. We saw a couple times where the 4th Mystic Sanctuary would have actually made a difference. But definitely, I mean, it's not like there's an overabundance of basics or anything to be able to trim one of here, as there's only one forest and one island in the deck. So this is kind of where people have come to on 3 Mystic Sanctuaries is the right number, and then various removal. And just, I mean, how many decks have 5 different Planeswalkers? It's just
that is unique for sure.
It's just cool.
Very cool.
Which goes a long way towards being enjoyable to watch and enjoyable to play with.
Absolutely.
And then like we have Uro and Omnath. Omnath is basically a Planeswalker anyway. So this deck is just, like you said, just get stuff, just cool stuff on the board, a few things to clean up whatever your opponent might be doing, and then just ride your powerful stuff to victory. Let's go ahead and look at the sideboards while the players are getting ready. Okay, here's Ricardo's sideboard. Now, keep in mind, we're playing against a green-white Heliod deck. Exiling may matter as far as if Heliod ever gets animated.
Yes.
So we do have a Path to Exile, which can do some work there. A 4th Path to Exile, I should say. The other 3 in the main deck.
Yeah. I would definitely expect the 2 1-mana removal spells, the Bolt and the Path, to come in. And then Ether Gust also seems pretty phenomenal against this deck. I mean, it's not like an ace, I guess, but like they play Spike Feeder and Collected Company, and if you're on the play, you can just tag an Arbor Elf or Utopia Sprawler or whatever before they get to develop, and that's a huge deal a lot of the time. And then Fire Spell will also for sure be coming in, but then like Veil, Ravenous Traps, Soul Guide Lantern, and Dispute don't really do anything. So
yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and look at Chase's sideboard, see what he's got to work with. And keep in mind, we're playing against 4-color Omnath, and he knows that. So we have, right off the bat, we have a Giant Killer, which can kill all of the creatures in the Omnath deck. I mean, all being, there's only a couple.
Yeah.
But interesting.
I'm not sure if it'll come in, but I do like the inclusion on the sideboard for sure, just as a one-of to get with Ranger Captain of Eos, maybe as a Death Shadow or Tarmogoyf Dancer or something like that.
Yes. What do we like here? I mean, Veil of Summer is basically great against any deck where you can reasonably expect to cast it at value, and I think this counts.
Yeah, it seems like it. I don't remember the exact counterspell sort of split that the opponent had, but he had at least 1 Cryptic Command and then maybe some number of Mana Leaks Force Negations, but it doesn't stop Bolt or Path, which is kind of annoying.
That's true. It doesn't stop everything. And Skyclave Evaporation can wipe out Omnath and Uro, but
yes,
my instinct would be to say that it's probably not. I don't know. Do you think you bring that in? My instinct would be to say no. Yeah, I suppose it's better than Path to Exile.
Yeah, I would definitely guess that Skyclave is better than Path, especially because he's playing against so many Planeswalkers. Like you said, there's 5 different ones.
You're right. I'm narrow-minded, thinking of that's just years and years of templates ironed into my brain being just straight up wrong. It does take out Planeswalkers. I knew that 2 hours ago and managed to forget it. And that's it's absolutely coming in.
Yeah, I would assume that's going to be happening.
Yeah. So Chase versus Ricardo here. Now that we've looked at the deck lists, I don't know. I have a hard time choosing against this Planeswalker Time Warp powerhouse.
Yeah, I think the deck is super, super powerful, and both players definitely have the tools to win the matchup. I think that if you didn't think that green-white Heliod deck was good against the blue decks, you probably just wouldn't play it. Sure. And we saw, I believe, Michael Jacob played at the Mox and was in the top 4 or maybe even the finals. I don't remember. And if a player of his caliber is bringing it to an event that high of stakes, I would guess that you at least have a shot against a lot of those blue decks.
Yeah, I mean Sounds reasonable to me. I don't know if we're just take us down whenever the match is ready to go, but is this 4-color Omnath deck? Is this? I mean, we have 3 of them in our top 8. Is this the strongest deck in Modern, or is this just a deck that did well today?
I do think that the Omnath Warp deck, either variation with like the Hour of Promise or with the Time Warp, however you really choose to build it, I think that it's definitely one of the stronger decks that you can play. I also think it's very beatable. Like there's cards like Spoil that are 4-mana instant speed, Armageddon you, right? Like, and we saw our first seed, Dominic is just playing like 2 or 3 islands in his blue-red deck, so he can play play like 2 or 3 Boils in his sideboard. Off of 4 Spiralift Canals and like Manamo and the Pathways and all the weird non-island dual lands that have been printed over the years.
Yeah, okay. So it's a strong deck. It has some weaknesses. Are any of the decks in our... So let's just recap. So we have 3 Omnath decks in our top 8. We have the Izzet Kiki-Jiki deck. We have Eldrazi Tron. We have the Green White Heliod deck that we're going to watch. We have Mono Red Aggro. And we have Mono White Death and Taxes. Are any of these decks, do you think, solid favorites against the 4-color deck?
I would guess
I'll give you a second to think about it here because I put you on the spot. I feel like the Izzet Control deck might have a reasonable chance because despite how strong all the Omnath cards are, they're, for the most part, coming out sorcery speed.
Yes.
And that's something that the blue-red deck can kind of take advantage of.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, and I have to imagine that if you also just have Boils in the sideboard, so you have this crazy haymaker, like if they ever tap out, you can, or if you want them to tap out, you can say, hey, counter this. If you don't counter it, you're dead, because you lose all your lands. Eldrazi Tron can beat the Omnath decks, but you need to high roll like super hard. You need to get like very lucky, and things need to line up for you very well, in my opinion. I've played a lot of that deck against the Uro decks, and it is pretty rough, especially if like you're playing against a good player, which I'm sure everybody in the top 8 is a good player. They've been doing well for themselves today. So,
yeah. All right. So hopefully you guys enjoyed our little preview of the top 8 here. The players to go. So let's take it down for the match, and we see. I mean, that can generate infinite life if the mana comes out right, but...
Yeah, we've got both the combos with the Heliod, but things don't really line up great there. We're short on lands, and...
Yeah, that was a good mulligan, I think.
This is much better.
Yeah, so down to 6, and we're probably dumping...
Okay, Conclave Mentor is interesting. I would have expected Ranger Captain or potentially a 3rd land to go. I would definitely want to go 1-drop into 2-drop, and ideally in a 3-drop. Okay, yeah, I like putting back the Ranger Captain. I think that's completely reasonable.
All right, and so here we are. We have Giver of Runes, and oh boy, I mean, the second point of toughness compared to the Legacy version of it is nice, but it kind of screws up your Pendelhaven.
Yeah. Although it doesn't get Wrenn and 6, and Pendelhaven is sort of at its best protecting from Wrenn and 6, and so kind of comes.
I think Giver of Runes just went down at a point in my book. I mean, just not common with your Pendelhaven. I don't know how this card's even playable.
Yeah.
So okay, Mentor Cup. So what are we Pendelhavening in our deck? I guess we have.
So we have Arbor Elf, and it can save you a mana when you're comboing with Walking Ballista. Sure. Because if you need to play it all in one turn, you can. Yeah, you can.
Okay, that's good. Those are solid points. All right, so Conclave comes in here for 2, and we've got Heliod coming down, because why not when you have an extra one?
Yeah, definitely just jamming here. Would not consider passing. Right. That would be kind of unreasonable.
Probably not minding at all if this gets countered.
Yeah, if Ricardo wants to use a mana leak on this, we've got another one. And if it resolves, then great. We have Heliod, and Conclave Mentor plus Giver of Runes unlocks a pretty nice fair game. Giver of Runes is definitely one of my favorite cards from Horizons. It's a card that like demands an answer, but like it can stay in play for 3 or 4 turns, and you don't just lose to it. You know what I mean? It sort of strikes that this is okay.
Even if we're setting it, we'll see what happens here. Even if we're setting up for something, that still, I mean, the path can just go after the Giver. We'll see.
Yeah, I I mean, I guess if you really want to get the Conclave Mentor off the board, but we could have just path the Giver and then path the Conclave Mentor. So I don't really understand why we did that.
So that may have been a mistake.
That does not seem like a card played.
That seems like it was probably an error from Ricardo. We'll see whether that costs him too. Well, okay, we know it's going to cost him, but
that
doesn't mean he's going to lose. It doesn't mean the game's over. It just means he messed up.
No. Yeah, that was definitely not what. Well, I don't want to say definitely, but I can't imagine that's what Ricardo wanted to be doing there.
But all right, let's see if he's able to shake that off and develop. I mean, this is 4 mana starting your turn is kind of flashpoint for this deck doing crazy bonkers stuff. And Omnath kicks off a lot of those crazy bonkers plays. So Omnath into a land here for a Time Warp, that would be pretty good.
Yeah, that would be pretty exceptional. And then we could follow that up with,
anything.
Planeswalker or
land or
Mystic Sanctuary or Time Warp. And I mean, the game could maybe it probably won't end this turn. Okay, now it's definitely not ending this turn. But
no
I definitely wanted to tap the Pendlehaven there in case you drew Path to Exile, but maybe we just don't have any main deck. I don't know. I kind of thought this was a main deck path deck though. Okay, this Ranger Captain is going to be able to find Walking Ballista, and that will be able to set up for the next turn, I believe, with Heliod for infinite damage. And we can even sack the Ranger Captain to make it so it'll be hard to interrupt. So Ricardo is going to need to interrupt or deal with the Ranger Captain through this Giver of Runes somehow on his turn. He does have 5 spells in hand. He missed a land drop, so it's still not the easiest thing to do in the world, though, with only 4 mana. And we're actually going to see the Pendlehaven come up because with five mana, normally you can't play the Ballista, and but with the Pendlehaven, we do have
right. It's exactly what it's for, and it's perfectly set for it.
Big brain, I'm sure it does come up awkward with Utopia Sprawl and Arbor Elf, though, sometimes.
Ricardo if Ricardo has a land here, he has enough mana to cast anything in his deck. Oh, I guess that's not true. It's only if it's fetch land, and that is not.
Yeah,
still this draw is enough. Do we have something simple as a Time Warp? No, we have a Teferi. Okay.
I think this is unless Ricardo has like Bolt plus Path, then he's in a lot of trouble because we're going to tuck the Heliod.
Yeah, I thought that might happen because that's the only obvious from Ricardo's perspective way to get out of this.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Good call, for sure. Because we can't protect it with Giver, right? Unfortunately, we don't have a way to shuffle that Heliod away. We don't really want the third copy.
Well, yeah, we're hopefully planning to just win the game before we even draw it.
Yeah, that would be ideal.
So if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 2 ways to kill the Teferi here. We can play the Ballista for 2 and then shoot it, or we can just attack with both creatures.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to lose this Giver of Runes or this Ranger Captain of Eos, as they sort of provide a really nice sort of buffer to protect your combo. So I definitely would prefer the Arbor Elf plus Ballista for 2 line.
Okay.
Or looks like we're going to go for this.
So we're going to
play. Okay.
This feels more dangerous, but
it does.
Maybe the upside is higher, but I guess we're giving our opponent a card and then potentially 2 extra mana if they can use it during the end step or during our turn.
I mean, that's a big deal. And if Ricardo has a Time Warp here, we're kind of in a disaster scenario, especially if he manages to find a fetch land, because then that's like 3 Teferi activations that didn't really need to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and Teferi plussing is making that more likely because we have to see more cards. That puts the Ballista kind of in danger, but you have the Giver of Runes. So, I don't know. I think I would have preferred the Ballista for 2 and then just leave the Ballista in play with Giver of Runes up to protect it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was kind of my instinct as well. Also, it gets you around a drawn counterspell that could take out the Ballista. Whereas a draw encounter to take out the Heliod we don't care about because we have 2 more coming. All right, so Ricardo take okay. Well, there's a fetch land. So if there's a time warp, then
it looks like there's not. We would have just sanctuaried that, I imagine. Looks like we're sanctuarying this path to exile.
What? That seems.
Or we could just do this.
Sanctuarying the path isn't going to get through the Giver of Runes by itself.
Don't love this Ranger Captain activation. I think it's pretty unlikely that Ricardo has sorcery like stuff to do, like a time warp, because he would have just played it before the fetch land. I don't fully understand this, but we do get to get back this path, which is on the board, and then just do it on our upkeep, but then we get to use the Giver, so that's good. That's an Uro.
Right, so this one path by itself isn't going to do anything here.
No, Ricardo's going to need 2 pieces of interaction here to...
Which he could have.
Yeah, it's very possible. I mean, he's got the known path, and then, any counterspell. I mean, and we know that he has a bunch of spells in hand, right? Because he missed the land drop on a previous turn.
Yeah. So he's got 5 spells in hand, and he's drawing up to a 6th, and we know one's a path.
Yeah, I think that we are actually not drawing up to 6. I think the Uro trigger had resolved, unless I'm missing something.
Oh, okay.
To 5, but and then we put the land in. We get to deal 4, which doesn't really matter. What are we doing? We can't cast. Or are we just escaping Uro?
We might be bringing Uro back. That would suggest. Well, if we already have our 2 pieces of interaction, then we're good. If we're drawing to it, well.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna need lightning bolts to go with this path to exile, like right here. And you can sort of see like how the Ranger Captain would have been good on our turn, maybe, right? When the things that I guess that we get to untap 2 lands, so we'll have 4 mana available, so it doesn't need to be exactly Bolt Path. It could be like an Archmage's Charm or something. But yeah, that Ranger Captain, I mean, Ricardo had a totally serviceable turn. This might have even just been what he was planning on doing anyways. Without the Ranger Captain activation, right? Like he put an Uro into play and plus his Ferret. That's a great turn. So
there's no Archmage's Charm. So we're looking at path, 1 cryptic command, a lightning bolt, a remand. Remand, I guess, works also. Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
2, 4, 5. Now there is 7 mana.
I think we're solidly at the point where we have to jam. We cannot possibly pass the turn here.
Oh no, I agree. Yeah, Chase has to go in here.
And Spindlehaven, give us. We do get to beat like a removal spell with the Giver, and we also we have enough mana to lifelink it in response, thanks to the Arbor Elf on tapping the Forest. So we can kind of try twice, right? Unless Ricardo picks the fight here. If Ricardo picks the fight here, we can't combo in response. So we actually don't beat two things. If the Spindlehaven, okay.
Oh.
If I was Ricardo, I would have tried to respond because now we can actually combo. Right. And we weren't able to do that before.
Yeah, so now we just need to use a green. We need to untap and have a green and a white.
We just give our guy lifelink and then we just see what he does.
Yeah.
And then if he does something, then we give her. Oh, you know what's interesting? If we give our guy protection from white, we actually can't.
Oh, you're right. Oh, that's
do the thing.
That's like
because the Heliod
unbelievably significant. That is
a huge deal.
Yeah.
I mean, we do get to do it again on the opponent's upkeep, but now the Heliod activation won't resolve.
No,
do not use it. Oh, that's not good.
We don't get to do it again on the upkeep. There's no because it was the. Oh, I'm sorry. Bad. I didn't realize Utopia's Fall was naming white.
Yeah. This is really bad. That.
All right. So the thing that it took us a while to pick up on.
Yeah.
Also, Chase himself missed.
Yeah.
And so. Yeah. Now.
Yeah.
Now Ricardo's going to basically get a free turn. Okay. So, if you go ahead, Will.
So what happens is that protection in Magic means that you can't target something, damage it, enchant it, block it, or anything like that. And so we were targeting Heliod we were targeting Walking Ballista with a white ability, and then with the Path Exile on the stack, we gave our Ballista Pro white protection from white, which means that the Path Exile can't resolve, but neither can our Heliod activation. So now that was sort of a huge blowout, and now Ricardo gets to untap with all of this, which is a lot.
Well, all of this and the Ballista's dead because the Pendulum even wears off.
Yeah.
And the counter's gone, and now there's a time warp, which this is just chases down the board. Yeah, so that that fell apart pretty quickly there.
Yeah.
In the sense that Chase thought he was clicking for the win, and 30 seconds later he was dead.
Yeah. There was a brief like, why didn't I gain my life? Oh, right.
Right, so
but shit happens, and that's a niche interaction. So
we see the start of the sideboard, and you hear the Veil of Summers coming in.
I don't really want to bring in the Auriok. That doesn't seem to me like what the matchup is about.
Right. I'm not sure what even that grants us.
Yeah, it's hard to remove, but it doesn't block Uro well. It does block Omnath, I suppose. It doesn't really pressure Planeswalkers too significantly unless you make it kind of big.
Yeah.
I would like to see these apparitions come in.
Okay, let's go ahead and look again at Ricardo's sideboard and see if we can figure out what we think he's likely to do. And we were saying before, we thought that the basically the spells that kill anything are the ones that are going to come in.
Yeah, all the Doomblades and Wrath of Gods, which are Bolt, Path, Fire Spout, and then Ether Gust also is not really either of those, but it's still good here.
Yeah. So that's I don't know. That looked like maybe so we saw that. Let's go back to Chase if he's still working on that sideboard and see if he's made up his mind. Auriok Champion's still in there. I wouldn't hate to see Scavenging Ooze, as it certainly the graveyard does get some use in the Omnath deck.
Yeah, it gets a lot of use. Mystic Sanctuary is one of their key cards, and Uro is.
Mm-hmm. There is one in there, but there's another Scavenging Ooze left in the board, so it's in there as a tutor target. And we saw some mana acceleration taken out. Now, sometimes mana acceleration gets taken out because you just don't feel like you need to go fast, and that would maybe be a fair assessment of this.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it gets taken out because players are just unsure, and mana acceleration seems kind of the most extraneous because you don't want extra copies of it anyway. So we see here this 7 has the Auriok Champion, has
that is not the right land to play. Definitely should have played the Plains.
And even ignoring that, this is...
His hand has still got some problems, right?
This is not an exciting hand. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not even close to the combo. We would need a land and a Heliod, and then to somehow sneak in this Ballista for 2 at some point through all of Ricardo's interaction, which he has a lot of.
Are we even? I don't want to be too harsh. Are we even confident we played the right 2-drop?
Not particularly.
Okay, I'm not either. I feel like I would have played Conclave Mentor because then, at least when we choose to play the Ballista, at least it's bigger. I don't know what this does.
Yeah, these Auriok Champions don't die to most things. Okay,
so we're changing.
I wonder what changed between the last couple turns where we wanted to play the Mentor now, but we wanted to play the Auriok last turn.
Well, if we wanted one of each in play, then we're going to achieve that either way. Well.
Yeah, we could have attacked for more damage, though. But also, I guess Ricardo does get to use his 1-mana removal spells like Bolt or whatever on it. Looks like we're seeing Uro come down. This is a Teferi. Okay. That is a problem. Now, Ricardo could be threatening instant speed Supreme Verdicts or Fire Spouts or whatever, which is, disastrous. Like, there's a reason those cards...
A land here would be nice.
That is not what you want to draw in the face of Teferi at all. And we only get to play one spell this turn, which is absolutely brutal.
Yeah, land there could have led to Mentor, Ballista for 2, shoots Teferi, and that would have been okay.
Yeah, that would have been a totally fine turn, just sort
This...
of necrotalling their guy, killing their permanent, and leaving your permanent around.
Oh, no.
Well, I mean, it's possible that this Conclave Mentor does take out this Teferi. It's, Ricardo has 7 cards in hand, so it's not exactly likely, but it's possible. It's possible. It looks like we're going to fire off a Path to Exile, so Teferi's sticking around, and these Veils are not going to be great. We can preemptively play them, but that
at least we get a land.
Good. Yeah, a land is nice. A land is something.
Okay, so
still on 1 spell a turn.
Yeah. Now, maybe a bit of a hiccup there on, well, I mean, we're not confident on the right land drop on turn 1, which probably didn't actually matter. We're not confident on the right creature played on turn 2, that probably didn't matter.
Yeah, I'm also not confident this was a keep. I mean, there's a...
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a number of things.
Saying, like, some of these things that we're criticizing, they are not necessarily errors. I mean, maybe they didn't necessarily make any difference.
Right.
So, it's just a matter of, like, if Chase thought he'd be better off with the other way around, okay. But missing the 4th land drop hurt. Ricardo hasn't exactly exploded out of the gates, but now that with Teferi plus activation, no one really has need to.
Yeah, we hopefully get to...
if this connects, then okay. Ugh.
Yeah, right. I mean, and we're still somehow on 1 spell a turn. I guess we can play Auriok plus Ballista.
We can just play Company.
We could just jam the Company. I mean, that's not the worst. I don't really want to do that in the face of... I guess Ricardo only plays 1 Cryptic Command, and that's like the worst punish, right? Where he goes Cryptic, counter your spell, draw a card, get back my Cryptic.
And the remand's already been played. There's Force of Negations. Those might not even necessarily have stayed in.
Yeah, it could be reasonable to jam Collective Company, just see what happens, I mean,
I feel like we're behind. We're clearly behind.
Yes,
I think Company does the best. Obviously, is the heaviest play. It does the best chance of, if there is no counter, of catching us up.
Yeah, this feels like the play that you should make when you're this far behind. I guess you're not that far behind, and you might just win if you Company, right? Like, you could theoretically just hit Ballista's or Heliod Spike Feeder, and then...
Yeah, that's true.
If Ricardo somehow has nothing... Oh, so he does have the 1 Cryptic.
All right, well, Chase is proven at least smart in that particular case. The 1 of Cryptic Command would have been better than Company. However, this Cryptic Command is not going away.
I don't think we're beating this Cryptic, because any fetch land gets it. We have the fetch land in play, and any other fetch land gets the 3rd Sanctuary, and I mean, we're going to Cryptic Command like 5 things or whatever. Not 5, but a lot.
Yeah, I mean, a run in 6, a run in 6 or a fetch land. Yeah, there's a run in 6. Boy, this is going to be awfully hard to navigate. Yeah, okay, we can Veil of Summer pre-Collecting Company, so it will resolve. Ooh, or we can Veil of Summer pre-Skyclave Apparitions. Now we have choices.
I would definitely start with Veil of Summer. I don't know what I would follow up with, but in the face of a known Cryptic Command, you just cast your Veil.
We're starting with that. Boy, if not for this Teferi, these Veil of Summers would be, worth their weight, but as it is...
Free Reign, I would probably just go for Company. It's the highest impact spell. Skyclave is reasonable, though. That's not a bad choice.
So there is the option here of Cryptic bounce the Teferi if Ricardo really values it.
That is something Ricardo has access to. And then he gets to rebuy the Cryptic with the 3rd Sanctuary, assuming he hasn't drawn it. So that's something. Looks like we're going to go for that.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And this would be less bad if there wasn't already a Veil of Summer. I guess you could cast the Veil now to cantrip, or I guess you can do it in response to the Teferi. Yeah, you almost have to.
Yeah, I assume when Teferi goes.
Maybe you wait for. Sorry. Maybe you wait for so you can resolve the other Collecting Company.
Yeah, that seems like the best play. Like, this Company just needs to happen, right? Like, otherwise we just can't really do anything. But the third Sanctuary means that and this is why the Cryptic on that one turn was so disastrous, because it means Cryptic for the next turn and the next turn, and like.
Well, that's all the Sanctuaries are in place, so they're done. That's out.
Yeah. Yes, we're out of Sanctuaries. I mean, we could bounce them with Cryptic, and then Uro or Teferi into.
Yeah.
And you can keep this going for a long, long time, and just and that's why just like playing one spell a turn against this deck is so bad. It's just like one spell, okay, Cryptic, bounce it. You know what I mean? Like you need to do like 2 or 3 or even 4 things in one turn, which is a little unrealistic because sometimes the mana just doesn't work out like that for you. But
all right, so we start with an attack here. Okay, we're starting with Veil.
Yeah, definitely want to lead on Veil. Same spot as last turn where there's a known Cryptic command.
Yeah.
Okay, so the company hits Heliod Ranger Captain.
It's actually an active Heliod too.
Yeah, I mean this is something. We're starting to actually mount some kind of formidable offense, which is this is sort of the first turn that we've actually been able to do that.
Do you get another Ballista here? Yeah. Okay, I like that.
Okay, fair enough.
Because you know that one of them will get countered. Well, I guess that's not true. You can stop that with the Ranger Captain.
Yeah, that's why the Ranger Captain is so nice in this deck, because it pieces together the combo and lets you set up through interaction.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Growth Spiral. That's not too consequential.
Ooh, lands is rough news for Chase here.
Okay, I guess you can't even Ranger Captain during their turn because it doesn't do anything because of Teferi.
They are able to play all their sorceries on our turn, so it doesn't really accomplish much. The Ranger Captain will likely be activated on our turn if it survives that long.
Right, if we even get that far. But at least there's hope. Chase probably realizes he's in bad shape, but there's a line you can draw that leads to Chase winning. It's written in pencil. That doesn't help.
That's a good way to put it.
That kind of needed that Ranger Captain to stick around.
Yeah, definitely, because that was sort of our only way of actually squeaking in a combo. I mean, this is just sort of like, it just comes back to the hand we kept without a 1-drop and with exactly 2 lands and a bunch of 2-drops where we knew that we would be casting 1 spell a turn maximum for the first 5 or even 6 turns of the game, really, unless we get super lucky. And this is how bad it is. Like, we're watching the consequences of what it's like to just 1 spell against this deck. Ricardo did have his 1-copy Cryptic, but
if we went Ballista and it got countered, and we went Spike Feeder and it resolved, are we good?
If we go, we do get to gain infinite life, but Ricardo has a copy of Jace the Mind Sculptor, and also infinite life is probably like 500 life on Moto.
I know. I realize that there's that definite issue.
So yeah, I mean, even if the players were to say agree to treat infinite life as infinite life, Ricardo can still easily win by just taking 12 turns in a row. And it's also an issue of like, he still wants to attack with his Uro, right? And like, and then if and then Chase is put into a position where he either has to block or no block, and then his life total actually does dwindle. So like the agreement doesn't even make much sense, right? Because he wants to trigger his Uros.
Yeah. Okay, Teferi bounces Heliod.
Yeah, and now we're just getting all jammed up. We have 5 spells in our hand, and they're all like 2 and 3 mana, and we only have 6 lands, so we can only really play like 1 or 2 a turn. And now our opponent has, how many lands is that? 10? 4, 5, 8, 10, 12 lands. So, and plenty of stuff to be doing. Like, we know we missed a land off a Growth Spiral earlier, so.
All right, so here is Ranger Captain. So Cryptic if Cryptic does not bounce a Sanctuary here, then the recursion's over? Or is this... No, this version has Tamiyo. So this is the version that has 1 Tamiyo in the deck. So actually, it can take itself out of this even now.
We did
I
bounce
say dig
Sanctuary, though.
I say dig itself out. Let me rephrase that, because that would imply that it's losing, which it most certainly is not.
Oh. Yeah, and now Ricardo is going to be able to replay the Mystic Sanctuary, put the Cryptic Command back on top, draw it with Uro, gain 3 life, get out of range of anything bad happening to him, and threaten to ultimate this Ren in just 1 turn. And if he has a Time Warp here, it's actually kind of just game over, because we just Time Warp plus our Ren, and ultimate our Ren, and then we have Ren Emblem with Time Warp, which is like, all of your lands are extra turns. You just never brick. We have Uro in play.
So with the Uro being played from hand to draw that card off the top, that allows the one in play to stay back and block if it wants to, which it very well might.
You could for the Ren, just keep it alive and try to threaten that ultimate.
Yeah. The Ren ultimate can probably be prevented using up the ballistas. Like the first one gets countered, second one takes a counter off of the Ren, but that's
that's just a steep uphill battle, right? Where you're just like spend 4 mana, like deal 1 or 2 to your Planeswalker, and it's just how many things that each player can do a turn. Ricardo is just able to do whatever he wants. Like, he has so much mana and so many cards, because that's sort of where Uro and Ren lead you to, is you just have as much mana as you want and as many spells as you want, because you're drawing extra cards every turn and you're making extra land drops, so you can do everything. And Chase has not been able to establish his like early Utopia Sprawl Arbor Elf engine to sort of get ahead like that.
Yeah, I mean, some of that got boarded out, but yeah, definitely. And then, so Apparition blocks Uro. I mean, I know Chase's life total is starting to drop. That still seems we're getting further away from where we need to be, but that's the whole game, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we can play this Ballista, and then maybe Ricardo uses the Cryptic Command on it.
And then we play Feeder, and then
just pray.
Hope Jace is at the bottom.
Yeah, and just hope. Well, yeah, hope Jace is at like the actual bottom, but we also get to like shuffle a bunch. But I guess Jace would have to be at the bottom like every time.
I guess, but I mean, even with all the turns, I was gonna say with all the turns that Uro's attacking, he'll just beat us up. But no, that can't happen if we actually gain life.
We'd get to 1,000 life or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, if Ricardo, okay, so now this is smart. So we're just gonna give our guy lifelink probably on Chase's upkeep, and then presumably Ricardo will say sure, and then if we ever do anything, then Ricardo interrupts it with the lightning bolt or a Path to Exile.
Yeah, well, I think we don't even. Oh, I guess.
Now,
I don't think you do anything at all. You wait until you untap.
Well, if we wait until now, well, we wanted to respond to the second removal spell by murdering this Ren 6, but now this Ren 6 gets to ultimate, which is like a disaster.
Yeah.
And by murder, I mean take 1 loyalty counter off it and delay our demise for 1 more turn. We have second Ren, so now we get the. Yeah, I mean, this game has been kind of over since like turn 3, honestly. Like, Ricardo was just never really behind. Like, there was that one turn where we resolved Company where it was like, okay, maybe if Ricardo's hand sucks, we're in this game. But
yeah, so now we can just bolt. How many red mana do we have? We have more than 1? Yes, we do. We have 2 plus fetch lands.
Yes.
All right, and we still have the Cryptic Command.
Yeah, I mean, Red Emblem.
Actually, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have multiple Cryptic Commands. We have multiple everything. And, oh gosh. This is, Chase, congratulations on making top 8.
Yes.
I believe your run through the event is over. But if there's a way you can pull this out.
This would be so impressive.
Yeah, this would be something else.
From this position, like, I mean. Don't think that's going to happen, though. And the Hail Mary, maybe your hand is 6 lands. And even if it is, then there's a bolt in the graveyard. So,
yeah, there's a bolt in the graveyard. Well, we know there's a Cryptic Command.
Yeah, I mean, there's.
Yeah, and there's
nothing really to be done at this stage.
No.
I expect to be moving on to the semifinal matches momentarily. Nice. Get those 2 points in. Tight. Yeah.
Okay, so Ballista and Spike Feeder. All right.
Yeah, I mean, technically, if if Ricardo's hand was just like all Uno reverse cards or whatever, we could win. But literally any card in his deck is insane here because any creature removal spell, any counter spell, and any land are all phenomenal. Yeah.
Well, maybe he has all the rest of the run in sixes, which I think is only one.
Okay.
And then no, there's two. There's two more run in six.
Okay.
Spike Feeder made into play.
Okay. I'm sure this will work out swimmingly.
Oh, wait. Okay. If the hand is 2 run in 6, yeah, there's not even that many bad cards.
No, I mean it's the 2 Rens and like
3 force indications. 3 force indications.
Sure. Like exactly those cards are his hand. Then,
Then we still probably lose to the Jace.
Yeah, probably. Then we could, make this game close to competitive. All right, and now we just have actual lethal. Just kidding. We're going to 9. Oh, we can flashback a bolt with a land, and we have to pick up a land with Ren. So we have actual lethal, and we are good.
And there it is. So Chase Pumford goes down in 2 games to Ricardo Sanchez, who will advance to the top 4. So we're going to come back to us, reset where we're at in the tournament, and we don't need to take a break this round. We're just going to stay here.
Nope.
Semifinal match is ready to go. So if we have a top 4 bracket, let's let everyone know exactly where we're at. So we just saw Ricardo Sanchez defeat Chase and his green-white deck, and so he is now going to play against Topher Stitston playing Death and Taxes. Other side, Gabriel Nicholas on full color Omnath versus Thomas Laras playing Eldrazi-tron. So Eldrazi-tron did defeat the Prowess deck, which we kind of thought would happen.
Yes, that was Chalice of the Void is pretty good against a deck with 20-something 1-drops, shockingly.
Gabriel Nicholas won the Omnath Mirror. So, okay, somebody was bound to win that match.
Yep.
And then we had Death and Taxes beat, I don't have it up in front of me anymore.
It was the blue-red deck.
It was the blue-red deck. Yeah, okay. So
Topher does manage to overcome a matchup that I thought would be hard for him, personally.
So here we have, while the players are getting ready, Death and Taxes versus 4-color Omnath. So if we assume that the players are of equivalent ability, do we like one deck or the other? The Death and Taxes deck, I feel like if I want to beat this Omnath deck, I want to beat it with, spell-based combo or something, not mid-range creatures.
So I don't have a ton of experience with this modern Death and Taxes deck personally, but I have a friend who's played it a decent amount, and he sort of told me that these 4-color Omnath decks, their mana is super fragile.
Okay.
It's pretty hard for them to cast their spells a decent amount of time, especially if you're disrupting them. That's a little less true now because it took this is a little while ago, it was a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. And those decks all had Field of the Dead. I don't know if Ricardo has Field of the Dead. I think when you play the Time Warps, you usually don't play that card. But you do have to stretch a little bit to play Field of the Dead. Oh, do you have the deck list?
Answer that for you right now. Where it is? Let's see. Ricardo does not have a Field of the Dead.
Okay.
What match are we actually watching here? We're watching Gabriel versus Thomas, or against Thomas. So let's go ahead and bring up those